Did you know that Luke Skywalker discovered what happened to his parents at the end of the Clone Wars? Although he was not born during this time, he discovered evidence that unlocked the truth of what led to his father falling to the dark side and how his mother died. To understand this better, let's take a trip back to the start of the Clone Wars. R2-D2, a witty astromech droid created like most during his time by the industrial automaton, was assigned to Padme Amidala on Naboo during her time as queen. After her secret marriage at the start of the Clone Wars, she gifted R2 to her new husband, Anakin Skywalker, to join him on his voyages and help keep him safe in battle. During the time, Anakin and R2 became very close. The popular astromech helped Anakin and Obi-Wan in particular out of a lot of difficult missions. R2 alone often was the reason many people survived by the attacks of the CIS and the Separatist movement. Unbeknownst to Anakin, during those times, R2 would secretly record their missions, as well as his interactions with Padme while they were off in private during their downtimes. During the prime of the Clone Wars, R2 would notice subtle things changing about Anakin. He would talk to him less, he would become decreasingly colder and more calculated. This behavior started to really peak towards the end of the Clone Wars, as what seems to be Anakin's frustration with the Jedi Council boiling over, his anger towards Count Dooku about taking his arm, and the Republic's unwillingness to do what was needed to end the war, all so he could be at peace and be with his wife. He wanted this deeply. After the capture and rescue of Chancellor Palpatine at the Battle of Coruscant, R2 remarked that Anakin barely spoke to him anymore. He saw the shift in him happening and felt powerless to do anything about it. These events took a really bad turn for the worse when Anakin discovered Palpatine was the Sith Lord. The conflict in him was at an all-time high. R2, deeply confused by all this, as he was not present during Anakin's decision to turn on the Jedi and join Darth Sidious, took to recording most of what transpired from then. Anakin visited Padme before leaving for Mustafar, where he told C-3PO he was at a loss of what was going on because Anakin no longer spoke to him. He arrived with Anakin on Mustafar, where he recorded his encounter with Padme, where he force choked her, some of the events of this battle with Obi-Wan, as well as Obi-Wan returning without Anakin and rescuing Padme. These events had the astromech befuddled, as he was clueless to what was happening around him. All he could do was record it, and maybe one day it would all make sense. Even recording the birth of Luke and Leia and Padme's last words to Obi-Wan. Now we fast forward many years later, as Luke is cleaning and repairing R2 from a mission they were on. Luke, doing a diagnostic on R2's memory banks, came across a file set that was hidden. R2 had purposely hidden and encrypted these files, as he knew at this point what Luke would find in them could cause him deep pain. Luke at this time had become a Jedi, discovered his father, and played a big part in redeeming him, and was at peace with his father and how he joined the netherworld of the Force. R2, feeling that he didn't want to disturb that image Luke had of his father, deeply guarded these files. Luke, being the curious person he always was, insisted that R2 unlock these files so he could see them. R2 went into the depths of lying and saying that the files were corrupted to keep Luke from seeing them. Luke, sensing his companion was lying to him, continued to press the issue. After a while, R2 understood that Luke was not going to give up on the idea, so he relented. Unlocked the files and showed Luke all the important details of the recordings of his mother and father during their times together, as well as their less than pleasant ways they parted. By this time, though, Luke had discovered a lot of Jedi and Republic history, from the archives of Coruscant, records of planets, the likes of Coruscant, and other heavily populated areas the Jedi's had inhabited throughout their time in the Clone Wars. So he knew a lot about the Clone Wars as well as a lot about his father during that time period. But the missing piece was how or why he turned to the dark side. Through the videos that R2 showed him, Luke could see how much he loved Padme, but how he felt losing her, just like he had lost his mother years ago. Luke reconciled with the fact that through the manipulations and the fear of loss drove his father to the dark side under the premise that he could save the ones he loved. Although R2 was very nervous of how Luke would handle seeing what his father did, after deep thoughts, Luke maintained that his father did what he had to do. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe for more Star Wars content, and may the Force be with you always.